My name is Joshua Dunlop. I run expertphotography.com. We are the largest information site for photographers in our industry, and we get about 1.4 million visitors a month at the moment. Just over 1 million of those come from Google, and we collect maybe 400 to 500 subscribers a day organically, and there's some more on top of that. The revenue is quite a secret on that, but I will say it's in the 7-figure range. I started expert photography in April 2011, and it was just a few months after my first photography job. I had this amazing first experience and I wanted to be a photographer after that. So I thought, if I write a blog, I'll get some visitors and then I can get some clients. And it didn't really work like that, because pretty soon I was writing content and I was looking at everyone else in our niche and be like, their content is rubbish. I can write an article on Aperture and I'll write a far better article than anyone else has done, because no one was really taking it seriously back in 2011. And there were some big players at the time, big players who were the biggest until we came along this year. And it's really interesting to look back now and see how far we've come from that small blog post on a personal branded site to teaming up with my brother and starting Expert Photography, and how we've grown into a pretty large for our industry team as well. One of the earliest challenges we had was, very early on, it's really difficult to know what to work on. Everyone's got these bright ideas and these shiny objects. And I remember sitting and just writing to my schedule of publishing 3 posts a week. And I don't really remember doing much else. I remember having an Aweber account and having 8 emails that I'd written over the course of a year, plumbed together so that people got these emails. And it really wasn't doing a whole lot at the time, because it was just these blog posts that we're trying to get traffic to. Now, some of those have made an incredible impact into what we do now long term, but it takes a long time to see long term results. So early on, there was a lot of struggles on what should we focus our time on. I remember launching my first product and sending it out to my list of, I think, 15,000 people, and I think I got 1 sale at $97. It was awful. It was a really bad offer. It got repackaged another time, renamed a number of times. I tried VSLs. I tried sales page with lots of fancy bullet points. I didn't know how to write copy. There was loads of things we did wrong, and we kept at it. I say we, for the longest time it was just me. I just kept at it and kept at it and kept at it until I started to find something that worked. It was only when I started to really understand tripwires and funnels and Facebook ads that I started to see a big impact. And then once we had that impact, I went back and I looked at everything we'd done, and I realized that actually I make far more money from content than I do from advertising. If I can make 10 cents on a dollar of advertising, I'm happy. But for content, the cost that goes into content, I would expect to make $10 on a dollar long term. And that was a big pivotal change for us, because we realized that, again, I realized that I could go and invest into content, and the long-term gains would be huge if we did it well enough. I joined Pro back in early 2016, and back then we didn't really know the value of the content on our website. This is before I sat down and did the maths and realized the impact that we could have if we started to scale this properly. And the biggest thing that I got out of Pro was the content templates and the structure and how they do marketing. And we kind of took those, and they've been through, I think, probably 3 rounds of changes. So they're quite different to what we were given back then, but they were the basis of how we created our content. And I built systems and structure using Help Scout, which is a customer support portal. And I built training for editors and SEO and writers. And I kind of packaged it all together off the basis of what Pro put together. And I gave it to a team and I got them to run it. And then after the first year, the one guy that I initially put in charge of it was, fair to say, pretty useless. I don't know what he was doing with his time, and I was a pretty poor manager of him as well. So he kind of went after 8 months or something, and I hired an SEO and a content manager and a full-time writer to take over. And the content manager took over the role of finding writers, and everything kind of snowballed from there. And we started to spend a significant amount of money each month on content. All in all, it's probably around $12,000 a month, including what I pay my team plus the outside writers. And initially, you're not making 12 grand a month from that new content. It just doesn't work that way. But over time, it snowballed and it snowballed and it snowballed. And I looked the other day, actually, the one in-house writer I have, his post in the last 30 days is like 40% of our traffic, just him alone, because he's written so much in this time, and we've been so targeted with our approach using SEO that we're able to create a lot of value for ourselves with these highly targeted posts. So it's amazing to come back now, and we've actually just updated the whole process again. Not much changes, but the structure of how we email people and how we manage it in Trello, that's changed. We've moved to Notion now, which is it has some internal training attached to it, so we can give writers more information, things evolve and change. But starting out, like, the AH Pro system was really valuable to us. And there was a number of things in there, but that's the one thing that really stood out to us. We started to really scale our content marketing about 20 months ago. And for the first 8 months, we didn't really see that many results. We were doing everything right, and I was confident that we were going to get there, but we were seeing minimal incremental change. We even dipped down a little bit before we went back up. But we did a lot of the right thing. And then at one point, there was a big algorithm update. A lot of sites in all industries were hit. And we went up significantly, and a lot of our competitors went down. And we hit every single algorithm update, of which there seems to be one like every month. Every single algorithm update, we went up, and our competitors went down. And it was about 9 months after that where we became the largest site in our niche. We'd gone from being about the 10th largest, according to Ahrefs, I think about 120,000, to having about 670,000 in Ahrefs within 8 months or so. And from there, it just kept going and going and going and going. So the largest site in our niche was a site called Digital Photography School. And we overtook them, I guess, 6 months ago or so, 5 or 6 months ago. And we're almost twice the size of them now, because we've continued to hit those algorithm updates. And we've built content that we see our competitors have already done. And we can see, well, if they've done that and they're ranking for it, we can go in and do the same thing. And using the structure that we have, we're able to scale the content to now where we probably get 6 times as much Google traffic this month than we did the same month last year. So it's been a big, significant increase. And obviously the value that we get from subscribers is, with a number of different products, is quite high these days. So the more subscribers we can get from that organic content, it seems like free money because it comes from nowhere. But of course, there's a lot of work that goes in the back end. And the great thing about this is that most people don't want to do that hard work. So there's very little competition when it comes to actually doing it properly. The AH Pro community is pretty cool, actually, because although I'm not the most active member, everyone sort of knows each other. We've all spoken a little bit, and we're friends with people on Facebook, and there's always discussions about, and they're light-hearted discussions about the right way and the wrong way to do things. And sometimes we disagree, but it's always very respectful. Some communities you can get into, and you see this in like YouTube comments and blog post comments, where people are just like spiteful. They're just like mean to each other. And it's not like that in AH Pro. Everyone's pretty knowledgeable, in fact. And it's great to get advice when you need it, because some people just love to be there to help. And that's really great. Recently, a website in my industry came up for sale, and someone posted about it in the Facebook group, and a number of people tagged me, and it was great because they were able to highlight this offer to me that I wouldn't have seen otherwise, and I was able to get some more information on that website that I wouldn't have had otherwise, because I wasn't checking, Empire Flippers or whoever was selling this website. So I managed to get some pretty cool information out of another competitor without having to buy them or talk to them or anything. And one of the members actually reached out to me because he was interested in buying that site. And his reaction was that he would buy the site so that he could then promote my site, because the site was undervalued, about 2.5 annual revenue. And it was so undervalued that, you could just buy it, fix a few things, add some new content, link to me, I'll link back to you. You can promote my stuff, sell your course, sell my courses. And that immediately takes, the time to get your money back from that site down to a year and a half or something. And it was really cool that there were people in the community that knew each other enough for that connection to happen. It didn't go through in the end. Someone had already bought the site, but it was really cool that was a possibility. if you already have a site that's reasonably well established and you're trying to grow it, if you were where I was a year and a half ago, being the 10th, 15th, somewhere around there of the largest sites in your industry, and you don't quite know how to get to number one, I can tell you I've done it, and the structure and the systems that I got out of AH Pro made it so much easier for me to get there. So if it's something that you're considering and you want to get yourself from where you are now to the largest in your industry, it's definitely worth checking out AH Pro. There's a tremendous amount of value in there. When you get to our sort of level, when you're spending a decent amount of money on a course, I'm no longer looking to have a business in a box. I'm looking for that one or two little things that is going to have a big impact to how I can do something. One thing from a course is all I really look for anymore, because those small differences compound to have a big impact over time, and nothing beats compounding interest when it comes to investing in your own website. So trying to find a few ways you can do things better really does help. And through the use of the systems and the training they give you inside AH Pro, I have to say that despite the fact that we've gone from somewhere in the middle to the largest site in our industry, I really don't spend more than an hour a week on our content. I will go a month or two without talking to the content team about what they're publishing. I will help early on to execute some strategy and come up with ideas, and I'll give it to them, and then I'll come back, and so long as we're getting results, I leave them to it. And that's a great thing about it. It buys me so much more of my time, so I can spend my time on strategic work rather than tactical work. And systems allow me to do that, and the systems that AH Pro give you are really, really valuable. Coming up in the next few months for Expert Photography, we have a really cool idea that's coming to fruition, and it's a personality test. It's a personality test for photographers, where we ask them a series of questions that we use to build profile information, and then we store that in our database, and then we market to them based on their personality type. The simplest possible terms, we have actually 8 profiles, but let's say you're an extrovert and you're an introvert. I could say, as an extrovert, you love to be out taking photos in big groups of people. And as an introvert, you like taking photos of landscapes where you can be on your own, you have your own time. It's much more complex than that, but it's going to allow us to have amazing connections with our subscribers because we know exactly who they are. Really excited to get that out the door in the next few months, before the end of the year probably. And the other thing that I'm really excited about is a new course idea that I have that's going to help people with, and I don't want to reveal too much, but it's going to be gear agnostic, meaning it could be an iPhone, it could be a top of the range DSLR, it could be a mirrorless camera, bridge camera, doesn't matter. And it's going to tell people how to take better photographs. And obviously I have courses already that are based on how to take better photographs. But if you go on YouTube and you search photography tips, you just see a world of just nonsense, just rubbish, because you go through hey, 10 tips you can do. And people are just filling out their content, and it's really difficult to find really good stuff. So I have an idea about the type of course to create, to have something that is going to be a much higher ticket. The highest price we sell at the moment is $147. So a much higher ticket item. And I'm only thinking about $400 here, which is high for our industry, but a much higher ticket item that is going to be very broad and interesting to almost any photographer. And on top of that, we're building out systems now so that we can scale premium content, courses and ebooks, so that they're built without me. So we're taking what we know from content marketing and building it into ebook production. So I can pay someone whatever $1,000 to create an ebook for me that I have full rights to, and then I can sell that as my own. And we'll take that ebook and we'll assign that to the category that topic's on. So our portrait photography category, for example, and we'll instantly increase our lead value on that category. So there's a few things like that going on, and it's going to take the next year to get all of this out, but I'm really excited to be working on it, and I'm looking forward to how we're going to grow over the next year. I think it's going to be quite substantial.